If you keep dying in ranked and don't know why, then this video is for you. I'm already one of the top ranked players this season and have been a top ranked player for over 7 seasons now, and today I'm going to be showing all of you 8 different ways to become a smarter fighter in the new meta. Also, apparently only 17% of the people watching this video are subscribed, so if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. Go check out my other socials, but now onto the video. So first off, if you want to instantly become a smarter fighter in this new season, then you need to learn how to piece control in the new meta. So let's show you an example of how to piece control a player that's on high ground. So to start up this fight right here, this other player is going to see me, so we're going to get in a fight. I'm going to get a few hits of damage, and then eventually this player is going to take high ground on me. Once the player gets on high ground, I'm going to take a little break and see what I can do from this position. When I see there's no build pieces around his ramp, I know I can piece control him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit out below him in his blind spot, place a cone, then place a wall in front of me to protect myself, edit the wall, and then place a cone above him. This now traps him, and then I just wall him off on all sides. Now he's full boxed. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fake pickaxe swing to bait the player to edit, and at that point it's a aim off and I'm able to get some opening damage, make sure I hug the walls properly, and I'm able to pick up a quick kill. So make sure if you want to piece control your opponents and pick up free kills, do this. Moving on now, let's talk about one of the best and my personal favorite way to piece control your opponents in ranked, and that is with the wall phase trick. So in this fight right here, I'm going to see these two players fighting, and I'm going to snipe this player, and then I'm going to start to push over to them. The car breaks, this guy kills the other player, and now he's forced to box up, and he's going to create a box of space. He does the right thing, he creates 2 boxes of space in metal. Now when I push the player, I'm going to place a cone in between me and him to have control, and then I'm going to edit the cone up, and I notice that there's no wall in between both boxes. So what I'm going to do is when he edits, I'm going to hold out my builds so that when he shoots the floor, I fall in and I grab control of the wall in between me and him. This means I now have full control. As you can see, he tries to pull out his map, but he's too late. And then I make a window edit to give me a right hand peek. And then I'm going to place a cone in the other player's box. And as you can see, this other player was too late, and I can simply pump this player and then pick up a quick kill. So make sure when you're boxing up or when you're box fighting an opponent, look to see if there's no wall in between you and them, and you can pick up free kills. Next up, let's talk about reading your opponent's body language and reactions to opening damage. It's very important to understand that when you hit an opponent, you can determine if they're good or bad the way they react to damage. So in this fight right here, I'm going to see this player driving in a car, and I'm going to shoot him to get his attention. When he gets out, I try and snipe him with my DMR, but he doesn't want to peek me anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place ramps in front of me, acting like I'm building towards him. This is then going to bait the player to start shooting at me, and I'm going to back up off the ramps, and then I'm going to snipe the player in the head, and now I've hit him for 120 damage, and I'm going to start to push him. Now as I'm pushing this player, I notice that he only boxes up in 1 extra box of wood. He doesn't switch to his hard mats and create a bunch of space. That's how I know this player isn't that good. Now when I'm pushing this player, he's going to double edit up, so I'm going to place walls to the right and to the left to block him, and then I see him going back down. So I know he wants to go into this area, so I'm going to piece him up in that area, but he's able to get out and put a wall in between me and him. But now he's stuck under his ramp, and I see him moving out to the right. So as I'm breaking the wall, I'm going to put a wall in between me and him, and then edit the wall and place a cone. This means I've controlled the box, I've now pokeballed him, and I can just edit and pick up a quick kill. So make sure when you're fighting in ranked and you get opening damage, you understand if the player you're fighting is good or bad. Now every player you run into in ranked is going to have a different playstyle and a different skill set, but I feel like there's always that one player that tries to make 10 boxes of space and doesn't want to fight you at all. So I'll show you an example of how to win fights against those type of players. So in this fight right here, I'm going to get this player's attention with a TIE fighter. He's going to chase me down and eventually get out. When he gets out, I get on high ground, and he's going to make over 4 boxes of space. When he does this, I'm going to start pressuring his cone, steal it, and then place a wall in front of me so that I have a right hand peek. This player realizes that, so he's going to back up into his old space. When I see he's popping a blob, I'm going to apply some pressure and get some opening damage, and after that I notice he's moving out to the right. So I'm going to go over to that area to cut him off. When I cut him off, I fake pickaxe swing to see if he's going to edit on me. He doesn't. Now I'm going to start to steal the wall. After I steal the wall, I'm then going to replace the ramp with a cone, and I'm going to start to spray on his wall. When I do this, notice how I'm staying on the left side of the wall while spraying the top right of his wall. This keeps me mostly protected, and when the player tries to shoot at me, I know he can't shoot back at me anymore. And if you didn't know already, you can grab a wall from an entire box away. After that, I was able to steal the wall, and I make a wide edit, but notice how I'm not jumping in his face. I'm still a box away so that I can crack the player from a distance while not taking any damage. Since I apply all this pressure, it forces that player to leave the 4 boxes of space. Now he's out in the open, and I can take the fight to him. I notice that he's backing out to the left, and I notice that the back wall from this position is open. So since this player is looking at me, I'm going to move over to that area, grab the wall in between me and him, and then I can make a wide edit and pump the player and pick up a quick kill because I knew I had a huge health advantage. So make sure when you're fighting against players with 20 boxes, you do this to be successful. Moving on now, let's talk about the best piece control move that you can use on your opponents to piece control them, and that is the ramp phase trick. Let's use this fight right here for an example. I'm fighting this player next to pump power, and he's going to take high ground on me. When the player gets on height, he's then going to try to jump into my box, and when he sprays on my roof, I'm going to make sure I hit him with a pre-fire, and this is going to crack him, and now he's forced to back off, and he's forced to med up. When he does this, I need to keep up the pressure and aggression so that he doesn't have time to med up, and I'm going to get onto his wall and start to fake pickaxe swing to see if he's going to edit. When he doesn't edit and I swing on the wall, I see the wall is weak, but I also notice there's no cone or any piece of build in his box. This means when I go for the wall, I can slide a ramp into his box. What this is going to do is it's going to force the player to leave the box, but the player decides not to leave and he decides to break the ramp. When he does this, I attack the box from a different angle and then throw a ramp in at a different angle. This now catches the player off guard, and now I'm going to fake pickaxe swing to bait the opponent to peek. Now from this ramp, he's not going to be able to have a clear right hand peek. This means he's forced to make a wide edit on me, and he's going to be in a 50-50, and since I have that huge health advantage, I can bleed through, take a few shots, and pick up a quick kill. So when you're applying pressure and you notice there's no cone in your opponent's box, slide a ramp in, and then fake pickaxe swing to bait them to peek. Now the biggest issue that players run into in ranked is making bad peeks. The majority of the time you're dying in ranked is because you're making a bad edit that leaves you exposed, and then you get pumped and die. So let's show you an example of how to make a perfect peek. So in this fight right here, I'm driving around and I notice this player run up behind a rock. Now when I get out of the car and I start to push this player, I notice he's stuck under a tree, and when he creates his space, he's completely stuck in one box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the right of his box and I'm going to cut off that angle so he can't leave. When this happens, now he's forced to fight me and edit on me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip up the cone in front of me to block his shots, place a wall so I have control, edit out left, and then place a cone and then reset the cone so now I have a peanut butter peek. From this point now, I can take the wall from a protected peek, and now I can make a wide edit, and when you see I make the wide edit, I'm completely protected versus the other player. He has to start running towards me, and then I can pump him and pick up a quick kill. After I pump him, notice how I reset the wall and then hold the wall. This is just in case the other player didn't die and he was trying to jump into my box. Moving on now, let's talk about the next way that you can become a better fighter, and that is by avoiding 50-50s. The main reason that you die in ranked is because you jump into a box or the other player jumps into your box and tries to 50-50 you. So let's show you an example of how to avoid that. So a perfect example of how to do this would be right here. I'm fighting this player and he's going to be below me, and then he's going to shockwave and break out all my builds. When he does this, I get a little bit of opening damage, and then he's going to take high ground on me. When he does this, I'm going to edit out the wall below me, and I'm going to set up a triple edit. But when I get to the wall, I'm going to see the player looking at me with this pump. I don't want to edit right here because the other player could just shoot me in my face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a right hand peek with a window edit, and then place cones in the box. This now forces the player to get caught on the cone. Now he's stuck in my box, and now when I see the player running away, that's when I make the wide edit because I know the other player isn't going to be able to shoot me, and then I can pick up a free kill. So make sure you're smart with your edits and you're avoiding 50-50s as much as possible. Now that we've gone over all these piece control moves and great ways to win fights, let's show you all how to be a smarter fighter in endgame scenarios to make sure that you can consistently win rank games. So let's use this endgame right here for example. As you can see, this is me right here, and then this is the rest of the lobby over here. Now the zone is pulling out over in this direction, which means all the other players are going to have to move towards me. But these two players are stuck on the back of zone, and I noticed there's this hill here. This means the players are going to have to go over this hill to get to zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break a few trees, and then I'm going to head over in that direction and cut off their rotation. What this is going to do now is it's going to force the other two players into a bad position. And then eventually when the zone gets on their back, they can't wait any longer, and they're forced to go next to each other. Since I did this, this forces the rest of the lobby to go onto the left side of the zone. You'll notice I have the right side all to myself, and I can have a free rotate over this hill. After rotating into zone, I start to push another player that I knew was weak. But another player pushes up and third parties us, so I create my space, and then I make sure to rotate in early again. Notice how I'm going to rotate before both these players, and I'm going to block off and wall them off, so now I can get in zone without taking any damage. And again, I'm cutting off this player in the back of zone. This now forces him to run towards me, and that means I can get a big hit of opening damage before he can react. I notice he's sitting on one floor, so I'm going to spray him out, drop him out, and then pump him, and then pick up a quick kill. Now after I pick up that kill, I need to make sure that I play for high ground because this season you have infinite ammo, which means you can infinitely spray at the opponents below you. So when I crack this player, I'm instantly going to push up over to him and I'm going to connect off of height. This means I'm free to now pressure the players below me and force them into an uncomfortable situation. And since I get on high ground and I get to the front of zone early, I'm able to pressure these players over and over and over and burn all their mats. And eventually, after I crack this player, he's completely out of materials and I'm able to just spray him and pick up a quick kill. And then it's just a 1v1 at that point and this guy shockwaves in the air and I'm able to pick up a free win. So make sure when you want to win ranked games consistently, you force the other players into bad positions by cutting off their angles, and then when you get to endgame, you make sure to take high ground because you have infinite ammo. Now that is the end of this video, so if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you want to see how to reach Emperor rank or become a good fighter, go check these videos out. But with that, I'm out. Peace.